Hey everybody, this is Kahlief here, 2018 E3. We're hanging out backstage in the Mecca of Metro Exodus. We're here hanging out with John Bloch from the team. Hey John, how are you doing? How's your E3 so far?
It's pretty good. It's pretty hectic.
Yeah?
Doing a lot of the, talking about Metro, showing it off. I think it's pretty exciting. We finally get to show off some more gameplay, and we finally get to get your guys' hands on it and see what you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we got our first chance to see everything in the Microsoft presser a couple years ago.
Last year's E3 we announced with the trailer. Yeah.
Yes, and everyone was like gobstopping. They were like, "Oh my God, what's happening right now? This is going to be real." People on slides and everything going down and shooting people in the face like they usually do. What's been the biggest changes that you've seen so far from some of the previous games to Exodus?
So, I think the biggest change is adding these new sandbox environments, these new open areas. The previous Metro games were very linear, and the Metro series has always been very story-driven. Narrative is really important, and previous ones we did it in a more linear fashion, and in this game, what we're trying to do is bring a little bit more freedom, a little bit more choice for the player, a lot more opportunity to explore and really dive into the rich world that we're trying to build based on Dmitry Glukovsky's novels, the same names, and all the things that come with opening that world up and letting players kind of have more control over their own experience brings a whole load of challenges, but I think we've come up with some good solutions that are still fitting for the Metro world and fitting for what fans expect Metro to be.
Yeah. One of the things I love about what you all do is that you do build fantastic worlds within that scope, within those stories. If the folks who aren't super familiar with the series, you want to give them a little bit of a background about what this particular game is going to be about in terms of story?
Yeah, so the previous Metro games took place exclusively within the city limits of Moscow, and almost entirely underground within the Metro system. Only coming up to the surface every once in a while, for various reasons, but it was very, very dangerous and not really something that was commonly done. Artyom, the main character, lived 20 years underground, thinking that everyone else in the world was dead. There's nothing up on the surface, and everything up on the surface was just as hostile and poisonous as the area within the Moscow city limits. But now he's found out that there might be something out there, and there in fact is something out there. And so he gets on a train with some of his Spartan buddies. They're kind of like an elite military unit, and they go out on this epic journey, across Russia that takes, the course of a year. You'll see all 4 seasons. You'll see all these different new landscapes, different environments, and come across familiar mutants and some new ones. You'll come across all these new societies and groups of humans, and all these different things that are something that you would have never seen within this, the city limits of this big metropolis of Moscow, albeit a destroyed one.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the series as well is how you play on the idea of scarcity. And always trying to figure out ways that you can kind of pluck things out of the world and kind of use those to your advantage. Have you kind of done anything to increase the ideas around that in terms of gameplay as well?
Yeah. Scavenging has always been an element to Metros, like to the survival aspect of the gameplay, right? Always having to scavenge bullets in the past, manage your resources in order to make sure that you have enough in order to, tackle the next challenge. Yeah. That was something that was pretty straightforward in the past to be able to pace and balance for the player, because when you're making a linear experience as a developer, you know what the player is going to experience next, right? Because you've designed what's coming next. So maybe put some extra ammo in this room before they get to this next encounter. But in these sandbox environments, the player has control over where they're going to go, right? Yeah. So all these elements had to be kind of rethought for Exodus, while not losing the flavor and the feel of how it was presented in previous titles. So we've kind of changed the economy system. It used to be a bullet system in the previous 2 games, and that was something that was unique to the Moscow Metro system and the society that had been built there. Using those military grade rounds for either adding more power to your weapons or to buy things.
Sure.
Now you're going to need to scavenge around for resources. There's metals and chemicals, and you'll have to use those to craft the things that you need this time around instead of to just buy them outright. There aren't any traders just sitting around waiting for Artyom to show up in the train and buy things from them. So you'll have to craft things like med kits and gas mask filters and even ammunition. Other things like throwing knives and distraction cans and Molotovs. All that stuff is a lot more complex in a system that allows a player to kind of choose and manage more what they want to do with what they find around in the environment.
Yeah, I got a chance to play the demo yesterday. It feels fantastic. Super, it looks gorgeous. And we were just like, oh man, this looks even better than what we thought, even when we saw the trailers and everything. You're on new hardware to a certain extent with like PS4 Pro stuff and Xbox One X coming up or being out in the world.
Yeah.
What has that been like to kind of work on that stuff and have that extra kind of juice under the hood for the console side?
It makes a huge difference. I mean, this generation of consoles has really closed that gap between what consoles have traditionally been able to do and what we've been able to do with PC hardware.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that crazy new video card that's going to do so much more, but the gap has been really closed, and so we're able to make the visual gap there between consoles and PC. We're able to close that window, and it's really afforded us an opportunity to really push the limits of what console gamers are going to be able to experience. Our engine, it's our own engine, it's a proprietary engine. We built it from the ground up to be cross-platform, and so it's always been a situation where when we're developing, there's no lead platform, there's no port platform. Every platform gets, the attention it deserves, and we try to make sure that the engine is taking full advantage of what each platform specifically has to offer as their own strengths. So, regardless of what platform you buy the game on, it's going to look the best that it possibly can.
Yeah, one of the cool parts of the demo that I really enjoyed was the fact that you kind of start to get a sense of the community that you're building within the team too. It feels like the characters are being fleshed out in a way that is even better than even in the previous games. How important was it to kind of build that kind of inside the game team camaraderie for the team on the story side?
So I think that's another thing that's a little bit different in Metro Exodus. In the past, there have been a cast of characters that kind of surround Artyom, but players have always really only had kind of one-on-one time, with like one of those extra characters at a time, kind of go on a little journey with them, where they come in and out and help Artyom along the way, and with his story specifically. In this one, you're taking all those people with you, right? Yeah. They're all on this train with you, and so you have a lot more time to be able to learn who they are. You might go off and do specific things with them, certain missions in certain areas, and spend more time with them this time around. Some of the dialogue has been expanded immensely this time around, especially for players that really want to dive in and learn more about your companions, and also in general, the other NPCs around the world, to have a lot more to talk about. So that classic idea of when you're sneaking around and you hear those bandits talking around the campfire, so a lot more dialogue there. I think it's something like our script is something like 2 times the size of Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and all the DLC combined. So there's a lot of story content for players to absorb if they really want to dive in and get into it.
And the world is bigger too, right? The world is significantly bigger as well.
This level that you've been playing today, it takes place in the Volga region, just south of Moscow on the Volga River. It's springtime, and this particular level happens to be so in comparison to the largest level that we had in the past, it was the swamp level in Metro Last Light, and that one was about 200 square meters, and this level that you've been seeing today is about 2 square kilometers.
Whoa.
So much bigger, and that's more indicative of the size of these open environments that we have in Metro Exodus.
Wow. Last couple of quick questions. It's always difficult for folks when they're coming into a series if they haven't kind of been through the entire arc. Is this a game that someone who's fairly new to Metro can just kind of jump in and feel like they are up to speed with most things?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously going to be certain extent of things that players are going to want to go back and really dive into and explore and find out, like, what is that thing they might be referencing in the past, or like how do these characters really know each other?
Sure.
But we're trying to do things that are going to allow new players to understand what's going on stepping in. This story, since it is the story about leaving Moscow, it is kind of something that in and of itself is going to be a lot more understandable for new players as well. We don't want to have to go through rehashing everything because like returning players are going to be kind of like just trying to spam that button to get through it. So we're trying to find that balance between making things understandable and easy to jump into, but also taking care of those fans of the series to make sure that we're looking out for them too.
That's awesome. Just let the folks know at home when the game is going to be dropping, on what platforms.
So Metro Exodus is coming out February 22nd, 2019, and it'll be on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC.
Thank you so much for your time. I had a blast playing it.
Awesome.
Super excited
Thanks,
for it when it drops. We'd love to have you folks on the show after it drops so we can talk more about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming by.
Everybody in Chicago, we're going to be hanging out. We have a couple more things to throw out there for you. E3 2018 is a go. Metro Exodus is super dope. Get that when it comes out.